The more you're ganged up on, the more powerful the Ashbringer is. The more times it can proc, the more people it will proc on, and the more it will fuel you. And the more it will destroy your enemies too.
Two-handed reckoning AoE grind.
Well,
Hold on.
We've taken a base that has 1.5 really effective tanks to 6.
1.5 my ass. The hell? What do you mean 1.5 tanks? You're about to piss me off, Aidan. You're about to piss me the hell off. 1.5 tanks in regular vanilla. All right, let's watch this.
Season of Discovery is a project that I feel like every game developer dreams of being able to work on one day. Being able to take their favorite game and add something to it and change it up in interesting ways.
We set out to do something bold and different when we announced Season of Discovery at BlizzCon in 2023, and the journey that we've been on with you has been amazing.
It was late in 2022 where we really started brainstorming as a team on what were we going to do after Season of Mastery. So we came up with some crazy ideas. Was it going to be a survival version of vanilla World of Warcraft? Were we going to add new classes or new specializations? But ultimately, what we saw that people were really most passionate about, they wanted more content in vanilla World of Warcraft. They wanted to have the meta disrupted so that leveling was more interesting and not predetermined by existing guides. So throughout 2023, we continued to work on building our rune system out.
And this is something that I've talked about a lot on stream, and it's something that I've had the opportunity to speak with a lot of people at Blizzard about, individually, is the idea of Classic Plus. And this was kind of their version of it, but if we're being 100% honest, the big thing is we want a Classic Plus. We've wanted a Classic Plus. I don't really consider Season of Discovery a true Classic Plus. I think it's interesting and it's something cool and new, but it's not a Classic Plus. It's just not. It uses Classic as a base, adds a bunch of retail stuff in there. I think that there's a midpoint between what Vanilla WoW is and what Season of Discovery is that is really, really good and incredible, and they're going to have learned a lot from Season of Discovery, but my personal hope, they come out with a Classic Plus at some point. That Classic Plus that they come out with is something a little bit more vanilla flavored than what we have now. It's fun as a raiding game, Season of Discovery is, and there's a lot of cool lore stuff. You can play Season of Discovery, and you can feel how much they care about it. You can feel the energy, you can feel the passion, you can feel okay, they want this to be good. But I will say, in that same vein, I also see whenever I'm playing Season of Discovery, it's you have people that really want to try super hard to make something really good, but it's just they don't have the resources to do so, which kind of sounds insane because we're talking Blizzard, we're talking Microsoft here, right? I really, really hope that Blizzard gives these guys what they need and helps to expand the team in the right way in order to be able to do the things to make this as great as it should be. Great example. Look at the tier sets from this new Scarlet Raid. I feel like the tier sets in this new Scarlet Raid should have been absolutely incredible. I feel like they should have been, they should have been something that people see and they're holy shit, this is incredible. This is something new. This is something Paladin, Crusader, right? Scarlet Crusade, that's what I need to think of. But for the Plague Gear is it's a Warrior tier 6 recolor. From Burning Crusade, they've recolored it to be McDonald's colors. White, yellow, red. It's the Onslaught gear. It's kind of disappointing because I really feel like they should have done something that was more Scarlet Crusade-esque. Yeah, I feel like frickin' Ronald McPaladin, looking at the guy, right? The potential of build variety in PvP especially, it's so it kind of hurts. If they found a way to make PvP good in SOD, oh my God. Dude, the amount of fun it would be to PvP and duel and run different builds, one-handed ret. You could do stuff with Holy Reckoning, and there's just so much variety, man. But it just doesn't work because too many classes have too many things, and their numbers are too off. But I don't think they have the resources to really focus on that whenever they have all this other stuff that they need to do. And it's the most... As far as I know, I believe it's the most popular version of Classic right now. Do you think Resilience would help? No, I think Resilience is a Band-Aid. If anything, your class feels hella different to play than Classic. Absolutely.
Building our rune system out where people could find awesome new power-ups.
I think the rune system was a really good idea that whenever it was executed, it turned out to be really bad.
Making Season of Discovery, a big focus with the runes was to make sure that people felt like they were playing a complete class in a vanilla WoW setting. So we've essentially taken a base that has 4 healing specializations and upped it to about 6. We've taken a base that has 1.5 really effective tanks to 6. And we've taken a base that has 12 DPS specializations and increased it to
1.5 my ass. The hell? What do you mean 1.5 tanks? You're about to piss me off, Aidan. You're about to piss me the hell off. 1.5 tanks in regular vanilla. It's like 1.8 tanks. Come on, man. Jesus.
Has 1.5 really effective tanks to 6. And we've taken a base that has 12 DPS specializations and increased it to at least 20. And all of them perform very closely to each other, which is one of the major goals, is that you shouldn't feel that bad playing a class that isn't the best one in the game, and there should be at least some option available to you to perform.
We were getting the Black Fathom Deeps ready, and then we heard that we were going to be able to be a part of the announcement at BlizzCon and be up on stage next to Holly
I know him well.
where after they announced the World Soul Saga, and we get to announce Season of Discovery, which was incredibly humbling and exciting at the same time. What we were announcing seemed a little crazy at the time. Mages that can heal, rogues that can tank, the level capped at 25.
Yeah, I didn't really like any of that,
10-man raid in Black Fathom Deeps. What exactly is going on? And honestly, the more exciting thing was actually seeing people get into the demo station and all the demo stations being occupied nonstop. And it was a surreal experience seeing like, okay, we might have something interesting here. People are pretty excited.
And with Season of Discovery, we've been able to bring content that has long been hinted at or unfinished back from the original development of the game to light and to players for the first time, including the Karazhan Crypts dungeon.
Yeah.
It's kind of this story,
did that last night.
legendary part of World of Warcraft.
There was a lot of history with this place. It was an immense weight to try and tackle something of this magnitude.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, it was very scary. Like, not just for the players actually experiencing the place and going through the darkness, but us actually designing something of this magnitude was very daunting. A lot of the times when we were doing stuff is we're looking at what contemporary things are doing, and which is how WoW was built originally, is looking at what is in the present. And we were like, well, we should try to go back to the past and see how they were doing things and kind of keep those themes rolling forward. And
Good thing is when someone says, wouldn't it be cool if we just do it?
So my typical workflow is
So yeah, that's a good question. I'll tell you a little bit about Karazhan Crypts. I think they did a really good job with it. However, you can tell that thing was not really designed to be a dungeon. That thing was really not designed to be a dungeon the way it is. Like the way that it's laid out is really weird and really open. Now, they didn't change it. It was the exact same as if you used to if you did the weird skip and you went behind the fence and you went down there back in the day, which we've done on stream, it's the exact same. But them using what they had to work with was done in a phenomenal way. It was really incredible. I would legitimately say Karazhan Crypts is like, I mean, I would probably give it like a 9. I would really have to sit down. I feel like there's things they could do more with it, or some things they could do better, but I have to sit down and think about it more. But just off the rip, I would say it's at least a 9 out of 10. It's very good. There's even subtle references to Karazhan, so it does feel like the crypts of Karazhan. If you're somebody who has played Burning Crusade, you're like, oh yeah, the opera, right? Oh, this. And it's like there's like a little mini opera. It's very cool. Interesting, because you can kind of tell that it wasn't really laid out in the way that you would think a dungeon would be laid out.
Is I focus on the items, creating them, statting them, naming them. I've just made items that I wish were in the game when I played it back in 2004. So when making items, I always want to make things that are fun, zany, but I also want to make things that are really viable. So I have a bunch of things like the Whimsical World Warper that takes you to 33 different locations in Azeroth. And I have the Gift of Gob that helps people transform into a goblin. You could use it on pets. You could use it on your allies. You give people a little more freedom. And then we have other items like Viscera, which is like a badass sword that can knock people back. We have Calibolg that turns you into a big boulder and lets you roll into people. And we also have things like the Cluck Cannon, which I don't know what its purpose is, but it serves some kind of purpose.
it was a whole lot of
That's
experimentation.
Irene, yeah.
It was a whole lot of let's just throw something at the wall and see what happens. And we just kept iterating. Eventually we found a good working formula for it, and we got some pretty cool things.
Obviously, the darkness mechanic is the big thing in the Karazhan Crypts, kind of the big point of difference. That was born of this desire to keep up the discovery, the nature of Season of Discovery. And the Crypt is unique because people had explored the place already. People knew the layout, people knew what was in there. To make it surprising and make it feel like people were discovering stuff, we introduced this light and dark thing. We weren't sure how it was going to be received. I remember reading one comment about someone saying their hearts sunk when they realized they couldn't see their teammates outside of the light radius. So that's the emotional texture that we wanted.
That was sick.
We wanted to really hammer home
That
the
was
fact
sick.
that it is darkness. Like, you are in a place that is completely void of light.
Originally, the characters would hold a torch in their hand,
tiny torch,
and it was this really small torch, this tiny little light. You couldn't see anything. It was super annoying. I know we tried to invoke a lot of horror tropes, the eyes disappearing in the darkness, all these traps.
They did a really good job. The mimic chest, they did a really good job with Karazhan Crypts,
spent maybe
man.
2 days on that and it did not work. We ended up adding a lot of very cute touches to the crypts. I'm not even sure players noticed. We have things like we have cockroaches that will scatter when the light touches them, for example. I haven't seen any posts about that yet.
Those are just for us, you know? When I go in on live and I see it, I'm like, that's right.
That's us.
That's for
us.
me.
Those are our cockroaches. Yeah. We had the mimics, the chest you open are sometimes mimics and they'll eat you. And I don't know if anyone's discovered this. I'm going to spoil it. If they kill you, they will actually spit you out as a hunk of meat.
Yeah, it's like,
oh, that's so funny.
It's actually, it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Look out for that next time you die in the crypt.
The original
That's
plan
so
for
funny.
the opera event, we had some very funny ideas to start, like the goblins picking each other up to swing at players.
They would pick each other up and they would become this increasingly long goblin sword.
Goblin sword, yeah.
We will use that, yeah. Yeah, cut this. Someone will pick up someone and use them as a weapon. That's a guarantee. You can quote us on that. I think that philosophy of experimentation is really at the heart of Season of
This is a
Discovery
great boss,
and
too.
whatever comes next for Classic.
It is definitely at the heart of Scarlet Enclave. We are experimenting a lot in that place.
So for Phase 8, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. The Scarlet Enclave raid, certainly the Ashbringer questline that's related to it, the stories and the quests that are associated with it as well. It's actually originally intended to be a lot smaller of an experience, but when we saw the response to the Karazhan Crypts dungeon, the attunement questline associated with that, and some of the continuations of the narratives that we had set up earlier in Season of Discovery, it actually really encouraged us to go even bigger with the Scarlet Enclave raid. What started off as a small 5-boss dungeon suddenly grew to a full 8-boss raid, which we think really delivers on the promise of what players have been looking
8
forward
bosses,
to
spoilers.
for this content, really over the course of their entire Season of Discovery journey.
Probably the most difficult thing that's
Wait, I missed something?
To it.
Truly someone in your Season of Discovery.
All right,
Whatever comes
I'm back
next for
at
Classic, whatever
602.
comes next
Okay,
for
continue.
Classic.
Sorry.
It is definitely at the heart of Scarlet Enclave. We are experimenting a lot in that place.
So for Phase 8, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. The Scarlet Enclave raid, certainly the Ashbringer questline that's related to it, the
This guy's got Season 4 gear on, is what it looks like.
stories and the quests that are associated with it as well. It's actually originally intended to be a lot smaller of an experience, but when we saw the response to the Karazhan Crypts dungeon,
So they
the
showed the
questline
corrupted Ashbringer.
associated with that, and some of the
So maybe you can-
continuations of,
maybe
of
you
the
will actually
narratives
get the
that we had
corrupted
set up
Ashbringer.
earlier in Season of Discovery. It actually really encouraged us to go even bigger with the Scarlet Enclave raid. What started off as a small 5-boss dungeon suddenly grew to a full 8-boss raid, which we think really delivers on the promise of what players have been looking forward to for this content, really over the course of their entire Season of Discovery journey.
Probably the most difficult thing that I've had to do itemization-wise so far has been creating the corrupted Ashbringer as a legendary. Legendaries deserve a lot of respect. Players are going to want them to be iconic, and making something like the Ashbringer, which is a weapon of legend, even in real life to some degree, you want that to be evocative of what it feels like to be the Ashbringer when you wield it. I had 3 big things I had in mind when making it, and the first one was I wanted to make sure that it kept the lifesteal proc of the original corrupted Ashbringer. The second one is I wanted to make sure that that proc was more effective and still good, but also scaled up a little more beef to it. And the third
Yeah,
thing I
it
wanted
wasn't-
to do
it wasn't
is I
super
wanted to
good, but,
make the weapon feel like when it procs, it's evocative of the Ashbringer is now on the battlefield. The Ashbringer has emerged and is turning the tides of battle. The Ashbringer, in my mind, is a weapon that overcomes insurmountable odds. The more you're ganged up on, the more powerful the Ashbringer is. The more times it can proc, the more people it will proc on, and the more it will fuel you. And the more it will destroy your enemies too.
One thing we get asked a lot about
Two-handed
the end of Season of
reckoning
Discovery is what'll
AoE
happen to my
grind.
characters. Well, we
Hold
don't really
on.
consider Season of Discovery to have an end, and we have no plans whatsoever to shut down the
But,
servers.
dude, he's
We wanna
right.
make
In
sure
the
that
lore,
everyone has
that's what it
access to
was
their
like.
Characters and the achievements they've made.
In the
for
lore,
years
that's
to
what it
come.
was like. It
Our
was
team has
literally
some really amazing
Mogren
things
went in there with the
planned, and we really
Ashbringer
can't
and would
wait
just
for you to
take
see what
on
else we're working
hordes.
on. Until then,
Hordes
thank
of
you so much
zombies.
for playing Season of Discovery with us.
That's
my
exactly what
character.
it was.
And the more it will destroy your enemies too.
One thing we get asked a lot about the end of Season of Discovery is what'll happen to my characters. Well, we don't really consider Season of Discovery to have an end, and we have no plans whatsoever to shut down the servers.
See?
We want to make sure that everyone has access to their characters and the achievements they've made for years to come. Our team has some really amazing things planned, and we really can't wait for you to see what else we're working on. Until then, thank you so much for playing Season of Discovery with us.
Damn, actually good video. Like, I feel like if they did a SOD TBC, they shouldn't increase the level. They should keep everything at level 60 maybe. Okay, we're gonna put a raid together. It's time for us to go into the Scarlet Enclave. Frick Ashbringer, look at this. See, this one drops all new mounts and gear in the Scarlet Enclave raid. Covenant of Light, Scarlet Steed, Demon's Folly, Nethrazim Heart. What? This is a meme. There's no way this is real. Will of the Mountain, Condemnation, Celestra Fang of the First Light, Strings of Fate. That bow looks sick. Experiment 800 meters. So Corrupted Ashbringer is a drop in the Scarlet Enclave raid. Okay, so that's confirmed. It's so funny. I want this. Dude, if you're a Tauren, actually, if you're a Tauren and you don't, like, this has gotta be like the best weapon. This is your Ashbringer.